couple experiences a defining moment in their relationship when they are unintentionally embroiled in a murder mystery. As their journey to clear their names takes them to one extreme circumstance to the next, they must figure out how they and their relationship can survive the night. Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Elliot back again with a new Netflix movie review, and today we're talking about Lovebirds, a film that was supposed to hit theaters, but Netflix bought it a couple weeks ago, and now we have it on a platform. Very excited to let you all know if this is worth checking out in my spoiler-free review of this film, Lovebirds. But before we dive into it, as you can see on the screen now, make sure you're following me on all my other social media accounts. If you're new to this channel, definitely subscribe, hit that bell so you don't miss any of my new content. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up, really helps the channel, but I also really appreciate it. And last but not least, if and when you all have seen Lovebirds, what did you think of the film? Did you find it funny? What were some of your favorite moments? Let me know your pros and cons in the comments below, and let's have some fun discussions down there. So yeah, this film was supposed to come out in theaters, but obviously with everything going on with COVID-19, things changed. Netflix picked it up a couple weeks ago, and I'm thinking in my head when that happened, like, that is a perfect fit, because Netflix, if you all have been watching my channel for a while, and if you have Netflix, you know that rom-coms, those are where rom-coms land, right? It's rare that we see a rom-com hit the theater. And if it does hit the theater, it doesn't really do that well financially, and sometimes critically it doesn't do that well. So I think Netflix is becoming like the hub for funny rom-com, romantic comedies, teenage comedies, whatever you want to call it, on that platform. So I thought it was a perfect symbiotic relationship going into the film. But starting off with some of my positives, you know, I am a big Issa Rae fan. I have been watching, I'm about a season and a half, 2 seasons behind on Insecure, but I'm a big fan of her. I've loved her transition from being on, you know, YouTube videos to her own show, to movies, and this, the impact she's had on the industry so far. I think she's such a great person, and I was really looking forward to see her and Kumail Nanjiani, someone else, and I'm a big fan of. I wasn't the biggest fan of him when he first came out. I found like he was very, and not his fault, but I feel like he was typecasted. A lot of his jokes were very stereotypic, and it just wasn't that funny. But as he kind of progressed, as his name got bigger, one of my favorite films in the last decade in regards to comedies, romantic comedies in particular, was 2017's The Big Sick. That was one of my favorite films that year. And knowing that Kumail Nanjiani and director Michael Showalter was going to work together again, very excited. So going into this, starting this review off with the positives, this film had some funny moments. I will say that. I mean, we all know comedy and horror, I say it a million times on the channel, very subjective. But some of the jokes really had some good punch to it. I think of the first like 15 minutes of the film, where you're watching these two characters, how they came about and how they fell in love, and 4 years later where they are now, and that scene when they're in their apartment going back and forth about their chemistry and being on the big race, and all that stuff was pretty funny. So I did enjoy their back and forth at times. I thought the chemistry was really solid. It felt believable. It felt like a relationship, right? And we've all been there when you know the person so well, you know what ticks them off, you know how to get in their skin, you know the back and forth that you see in relationships like that. Which, speaking of relationships, this might be a little thing, but I really appreciate it. You know, when I think of rom-coms and think of just relationships on the big screen, we always see interracial couples either being black or white or whatever the case may be, but it's rare that you see, you know, these type, you know, African-American and someone of Indian descent being together. I thought that was really cool in regards to diversity, which I'm always about in film. So I thought that was a really cool little notch and little detail to the film. But going back to some other positives, the journey was kind of funny at times, where they find themselves, you know, in these weird extreme circumstances. You know, it reminded me of Steve Carell and Tina Fey's film, like many years ago, Date Night, I believe was the film, where they just found themselves all over the place. Kind of similar tone in the sense of a married couple, that their relationship's kind of stale. They have a date, and then obviously things kind of go crazy, and that kind of reminded me of that. But, you know, outside of those few, like I said, some funny jokes, some really good chemistry here and there between Kumail and, you know, Issa Rae, and kind of the circumstance they were put in, and some funny jokes, like I said, here and there. I'm not going to lie, I was pretty disappointed with this film, because I don't want to say expectations were high with this film, but I really do think Kumail Nanjiani and Issa Rae are two talented people. And the director, Michael Showalter, again, going off of The Big Sick, I was expecting to have more of a better time with this movie. Again, comedy is very subjective, but for me, a lot of the jokes in this film felt like, I don't know if you guys remember a film that came out about a month and a half ago, Coffee and Kareem, which I reviewed on this channel with Ed Helms and that kid. I thought those jokes were so played out, so recycled old jokes, like mid-2000 jokes. And I kind of got the same vibes with this film. Some of the jokes felt very like old jokes, like I said, that you were seeing in a mid-2000s comedy. I thought that some of the jokes went way too long. It just welcomed it stayed. I thought that, again, the chemistry was solid for the most part, but some of the chemistry felt forced. And again, there's particular scenes in this movie, I'm not going to lie, if you haven't seen a trailer, do yourself a favor, don't watch it, because literally all the main big gags in the film are in the trailer. So a lot of that stuff was already anticipated. And when even with a fuller length scene in the movie, they didn't really work for me because I was kind of anticipating the joke and I thought the punchline was going to be funnier, but it wasn't. The story of this film, again, you know what you expect in a rom-com, and you kind of know what you get into. If you've seen the trailer, you saw what I said with the synopsis, you kind of know what you're getting into. But the story was kind of stupid, in my opinion, if I'm being 100% honest with you. Again, when I look at comedies and knowing that this film had like 3 or 4 writers, there's so many different voices in this film in regards to, oh, this can be funny, oh, that can be funny. Whenever there's like more than 2 writers in a comedy, I kind of get nervous, and I can see those different writers' input on the film in regards to what they consider funny, and kind of felt that way in this film. But again, going back to the story, I just thought it was kind of, logically speaking, was really kind of stupid and really kind of silly. And then the whole idea of why the person who was involved in the murder mystery aspect of the film, when that person gave them the reasoning, I just kind of rolled my eyes. But I don't want to bash in this film because, again, comedy doesn't always work for people in regards to what I might find funny, you might not, and vice versa. But a lot of the jokes, unfortunately, I was expecting some really good laughs because I love Kumail Nanjiani. I think he's hilarious. The same goes with Issa Rae, and I know they were executive producers on this. And again, it looks like they're having fun. This film just didn't work for me personally, mainly because of the comedy and the story, and some of the chemistry wasn't all the way there. But again, I think this is the perfect platform for someone to watch and enjoy, whether you're by yourself, you're single. There's definitely things you can relate to in this film in regards to being in a relationship. But again, I was just expecting to have a much more entertaining, more laughable time with this film. But all in all, I'll give this a 2.4 out of 5. Again, there are some funny moments, there's some ridiculous moments, but I just was expecting a little bit more from the story, from the characters, and from the comedy. But that's just me personally. It just didn't work for me entirely. But you might love this film, and I recommend you give it a shot. And when you do, let me know what you all thought of it. As always, like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that bell so you don't miss any of my new content. For all my Apple TV Plus fans, check out my latest review for Defending Jacob Episode 7. Reviewed The Great on Hulu. And then tomorrow, I have my watch along for the 40th anniversary of The Shining. So definitely hit that bell so you don't miss any of that content. Thank you all for watching this review, and we'll see you in the next video.